Welcome back to Roto Cross Fantasy. My name is Donnie, and this is the most exciting weekend of the year for me. It is A1. It's finally time. The riders have been announced. The handicaps have been set. The podcasts are out. Everything's ready to go. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 rider facts to help you make your Pulp MX fantasy picks. We're going to start with the 450 class. The first rider I want to talk about is number 4, Rocky Mountain KTM's Blake Baggett. Blake is an all-star, and Pulp has given him a 3 handicap. Now, the highest all-star going into A1 is only a 4, so Blake is one of the higher handicap guys, so you might see him as a bit of a safer pick. However, Blake has raced 5 A1s in his career, one of them on a 250, the other 4 on a 450, and his best finish is 12th. In fact, he has finished 12th, 12th, 14th, 12th, and 12th. So I might steer clear of Blake Baggett. I think going Ken Roczen with a 2 is a much better value than Blake with a 3. I would probably take Zach Osborne in the same situation also. I don't know what it is about A1, man. Blake just really struggles in Anaheim. The second rider I want to talk about is also 450. It is number 10, Justin Brayton on Team Honda HRC, Factory Honda. Big upgrade for Brayton going from that Moto Concepts Honda bike to the factory ride. However, Brayton has a -2 handicap. So for those of you that are a little uninitiated, -2 means that he actually loses 2 positions from whatever his finish is. So he needs to finish 8th or better to break even and get those double points. Last year, Justin had 14 starts, and he had 0 podiums, 1 top 5, and only 6 top 10s. I know that he was a big race winner in 2018. However, I think those days might be behind him. I don't know if he's a race winning contender anymore. And that -2 just doesn't really leave a lot of value. The final 450 guy I want to talk to is Justin Hill. I know Justin doesn't get a lot of love. I know that he is one of the least liked people in the Pulp circles. But Justin Hill, who is number 46 on that Moto Concepts Honda team, his first year on the team. Last year, he made 15 starts in the 450 class, and he had 14 finishes inside the top 15. So that's about as safe of a bet as anybody. I mean, his average finish was 12th, and his best finish was 7th in Daytona. And I think Justin has a lot to prove, and that Moto Concepts bike is very good. Justin Brayton won a race on it in 2018. So I am high on Hill. Don't hate me. Don't at me. Pick him at your own risk. There is a lot of stigma there. But Justin Hill is somebody that is definitely on my radar. Moving into the 250 class on the West, this was very difficult for me to come up with some compelling stats for riders because there are just so many riders going into the West that have never raced Supercross, or they missed last year. Maybe they're coming back. There just wasn't a lot of talking points there. But I've got 2 for you. One is number 40, Mitchell Oldenburg. He'll be on the Penrite Honda team, a brand new team for the year. In the last 2 seasons, he was on Star Racing Yamaha, which is arguably the best bike in the pits. So I think the Penrite deal is a slight downgrade from the factory Yamaha machine that he was on last year and the testing and prestige of that team. However, in his last 2 seasons with Star, 2018 and 2019 combined, he lined up for 14 races. He had 11 top 10s, 3 top 5s, and he even had a podium. If you guys remember the last round before Vegas last year, he actually finished 2nd. And then obviously Vegas, he had all kinds of bad luck. He wrecked in his heat race. He wrecked in the LCQ. He actually didn't make the main at all. And he had a really rough outdoor season. So much like Justin Hill, I think a lot of people are going to steer clear from Oldenburg, but he's actually been very successful the last 2 years when qualifying into the night race in the 250 division. The final rider I want to talk about is number 88, Logan Brown. Logan is a lesser-known guy. He had a 3-digit number last year. He earned that national number 88 this year. He's riding for the PRMX Kawasaki squad on the West this year. He has an 8 handicap. He is probably the longer shot rider that I'm looking at this weekend. Not usually somebody that goes for the really big handicaps. But Logan is somebody that's definitely on my radar. I like to see how he shakes out in qualifying. His last 3 Supercross starts at the tail end of last year, 14th at Seattle, 15th at Houston, 16th at Denver. Those are great results. I would gladly take a 15th or 16th out of Logan this year. And as that team gains more support and he gets more confidence and more seat time on that bike, I think it's only going to lead to better things. Logan is definitely somebody that you should take a look at. Moving on to the lap leader, just a little note here. I'm not a big lap leader person, but last season, Cooper Webb did log 8 hole shots in the 17 rounds. So 50% of the time, Cooper nailed the hole shot. Obviously, we're not counting hole shots here. We're counting the first to the finish line. But if you're looking to pick anybody, I think he's definitely your go-to guy. If you're going for 250s, I think it's hard to argue against Justin Cooper or Austin Forkner. Quite frankly, I'd be shocked to see anybody but those two at the up in the lead at the early parts of the race come Saturday. If I had to lock in my picks right now, these are a little risky, but I did the math. I actually came up with about a dozen riders to talk about that I narrowed it down to. So I pulled all these from my math research here. On the 250 class, I'm taking Forkner as my all-star. He won every race last year up until his injury. There's really no reason to bet against Forkner. I know Ferrandis is also great, but Forkner with that 1 handicap just needs to get in the top 2. I'm taking Oldenburg at a -1. I'm taking Logan Carnow at an 8. And right now, if I had to pick, I'm taking Christian Craig at a 0. I find it hard to think that Christian's not going to come out and get a top 10. He's got a lot to prove after his abysmal Supercross season. He raced 1 race last year, didn't race outdoors, had that suspension issue that he got sorted out with WADA. I look to see strong things from Christian. And then on the 450 side, I think I'm going to go Roxon. I think he also has a lot to prove. And at a +2, Roxon on the podium. I wouldn't call it a lock, but with Marvin out, Roxon's number 3. It's Tomac and Cooper interchangeably. I think Roxon is the clear-cut number 3 in the class this year. I'm taking Dean Wilson, pending how I see him in practice and qualifying. He is coming off that injury, but I will give you some bonus stats on Wilson last year. 15 starts before he got injured, 11 top 10s, 4 top 5s, and a podium. Man, this is a guy that can get top 10, and he's got a 3 handicap. So big value to be had in Wilson if he is healthy enough to do 20 minutes in a lap. Justin Bogle is also somebody I'm very high on. Gets starts, and he finished off the end of the last season very strong and had a great year outdoor with Rocky Mountain. Having a full year on that bike, I think, is going to be great for him. He's a great starter, and KTM is always a bike that we see up at the front in the early parts of the race. And then, of course, Justin Hill is my 4th one. Pending, I like to see him in qualifying. I want to make sure he is where he was with JGR. I'd like to see his times somewhere similar on that Moto Concepts bike. But that is it. Remember to, if this is your first video here, make sure to subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Let me know who you're looking at A1. And don't forget to join the Roto X Fantasy League over at pulpmxfantasy.com. There will be a link in the description below for that. And if you have no idea what Pulp MX Fantasy is and you somehow wandered into this video, check our last video. It actually is a how to play Pulp MX Fantasy, and hopefully you can find some value in that video as well. Good luck, everybody. This is a big weekend. I know I am about as anxious as can be. I am just so excited. I have done nothing but eat and breathe Supercross for the last week or 2. So good luck. I hope the chiz is chiz and the Jerrys don't always Jerry. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.